It's the Goose once again on a construction site. So the Safety Goose wants to take a follow-up of a video that I once recorded about, give or take, about 6 months ago about millennials in construction and what I'm getting a lot of negative feedback and positive feedback of what's going on about the young generation. So I'm going to take you for an example of an employee. He doesn't have to say where he works, but he can just talk, and we'll go from there and see if we can solve the millennial issue here that you guys are either complaining or actually talking highly about them. So here we go. So you can say your first name, and you have to give out your last name and what do you do, and what do you do for a living, and just talk natural. You are a millennial, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how old are you?
20.
All right. What would you like to say to help solve this issue where they think some guys won't go in construction and some guys will want to be in construction? What would you like to talk about? Let's solve this problem on the feedback that I'm getting.
Well, for one, I think, about people not wanting to come into construction, and people that do, you know, there are people that come out here, and like me, for instance, you know, I came out here, I moved down here from Kentucky a year ago for a fresh start, got a construction job, best job I've ever had, I love it. But I've noticed a lot of people my age, you know, don't want to do construction. Mainly it's, you know, a lot of people are right. A lot of younger people are lazy. A lot of people don't want to come out here and do manual labor.
Hey, speaking of, get to work.
Shut up. Anyways,
that camera wasn't in your face.
you're right, I would. But I think, you know, there are some older people that are just as lazy as younger people. It all boils down to, do you want to work or do you not?
All right, let me ask you a question. Why are the older guys of my stature, but I'm the one who believes in you guys, I try to believe in you guys, and I'm a guy in my 50s, why you think it's the older guys give you a hard time about it?
Well, I think a lot of it is...
And what should they do to correct it? That's why that one.
I think a lot of it is that all these old guys come in here and they think all these little young kids don't know nothing and blah, blah, blah. Well, you're right, you know, but you got to think about it this way. For every young kid that's on this job site here at Westgate or anywhere else, there's the same amount of people that have been doing this for 20 years, got all the experience under the sun, but, you know, we all started somewhere. And I think you just got to look back and, you know, think, well, hey, I was at that point too. You know, it takes a lot of practice. It takes, you know, you got to be willing to learn, but you also, you know, the older generation has to be willing to teach.
Okay, so you believe in a mentorship program and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, not even that, you know, okay. That would be awesome. But you know, you see all these people on crews, and you got young kids out here, and they're just being told what to do and not being shown what to do.
Okay, that's a very good point.
You know what I'm saying? So, like me, I came out here when I first started at Westgate, had no clue what I was doing, had no clue how to do any of this. My boss didn't show me, of course, because he's busy. You know, we had a few other jobs at that time, but the foremans that I was working with, you know, kind of came out and were like, hey, this is what you need to do, this is how you do it. And they weren't, you know, they weren't riding my ass about it. They weren't being assholes about it or anything. They were helping, you know. You get all these kids out here, you know, it seems like my generation gets pissed off real easily. And if you go around pissed off all the time, what good work are you gonna do?
All right, well, how do you solve, like, issues? What is it with the youth and like when there's drugs, say, out there causing issues, or laziness where they just want to sit on the couch? What do you say to those guys to say, hey, man, what advice would you give to your colleagues at your age group to get them encouraged? To say, hey,
about,
find
like,
a trade,
drugs, like smoking pot, or, you know, there's a lot of people out here doing that fucking meth these days. You know, I believe, you know, it's none of my business what anybody does, to each his own. But there's a time and a place, you know. You can't smoke a joint and then come to work and expect to be at your full potential. You can't, you know, go smoke dope or do whatever you do and then come to work and expect to be at your full potential. You know, you might think you are.
Okay, well, let me ask you, do you believe in a safe environment if you're here on a job, any job?
Oh, especially on a job, you know, and that all plays into, you know, we had this guy working with us one time. I won't say who, but I mean, he came to work so wasted one day. Keith fired him on the spot. He came down here and he fell down a flight of stairs, and I told my boss, you know, this is what's going on. This is what this dude's doing. You know, I don't want to be a snitch or anything, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but you know, it all boils down to I'm looking out for his safety. If I see somebody trip down a flight of stairs and they're stumbling around, I'm gonna say something because I don't want anybody getting hurt.
That's good. I always try to get the guys to get involved.
I don't want anybody getting hurt.
We're all supposed to be our brother's keeper. Okay, I'll look out for you. Okay, so for the critics who calls you guys rednecks or lazy, what do you say to the critic? What do you say to the critics?
I was born redneck bred. When I die, I'll be redneck.
What do you say to the critics to stop them from picking on every millennial? What would you say? How would you like to end this conversation here?
I would say give them a chance at least. You know, a lot of people are out here making, it's like first impressions, you know, they're making bad first impressions, but you know, they see how young somebody is and they think, oh, he's young, he's lazy, he doesn't know nothing. Well, you know, someone like me, you know, when I first got here, yeah, I didn't know anything. I definitely wasn't lazy. I was willing to learn and everything, but it just takes time, you know. You gotta, first of all, you gotta put yourself in the mindset. Second of all, you just gotta come out here and you gotta bust ass, man. You know, you can't, if you slack, you know, ultimately, whether you feel it or not, it's gonna bring you down. Like if I come in here one day and I'm having a bad day, the next day is gonna be a bad day because I'm thinking about how yesterday was a bad day, you know. So it's all about, you got to pull yourself out of that mentality of, you know, everybody's lazy and nobody wants to work, because, you know, people like me out here, like my friend over there, where is he? I don't know where he's at. He's right there. You know, he's younger than me. He just turned 18. I mean, he just turned 19. Okay. Like last month, or November, I think. But I mean, he came out here and he's working way harder than half of the, you know, 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds out here that know what they're doing, you know. And
so is this a good trade to get into? Because we get some critics who say, I wouldn't break my back for anybody, but you like what you do. So why is that you like this field?
My thing is,
why you like this instead of doing something else for a living?
One, it keeps me fit.
Okay, that's a good answer.
I've lost probably 50 pounds since I started working here, and I've gained some muscle too, you know what I mean? And another thing is, you can't come onto a job site, at least not somewhat fit, and then expect to not be in pain or not be sore and everything when you go home. You gotta, you know...
And you're fairly compensated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see, that's... Okay.
A lot of... Well, that's another thing is, you know, a lot of people... Not a lot, but you know, some people do feel like they're getting overpaid. But this is the way I feel about it. This is the way I feel about it. If you make $15 an hour, that's how much you're worth. If you make $17 an hour and work for the same boss, it means you work better. It means you're more productive, more accurate. You know, that's the two